My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Hey folks, everybody's goal is to create passive income. Well, today's special guest, Joey Muré, has done exactly that. He and his partner have gone from $2,500 a month in passive income into $50,000 a month in passive income. And I believe they did it in 2 short years. He's the head of the company, Wealth Without Wall Street. We're going to be talking about exactly how Joey did that and how he helps other people do similar things. Joey, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Dave, good to be in the room with you, man. I love being with like-minded people.
All right, my friend. So we talked a little bit before hitting record here. You're up to some very, very interesting things. So maybe zoom out, give us the big picture snapshot of who you are and how you got passionate about passive income, and then how you put that on steroids and accomplished in a very short period of time what most people never even come close to.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know if you ever heard the term, I'm a beggar trying to teach other beggars where to find the bread. That's exactly how I see myself. I am the guy that grew up with the same mindset that we all do. Go to school, get good grades, get a good job, make more money, and eventually retire 40, 50 years later, and everything's fine. And unfortunately, I learned early on in my career that higher income every single month and retirement were all a scam. They didn't actually create freedom. They actually, in many ways, created a prison. And the true access or the true freedom that we were looking for comes when we create more passive income than we have monthly expenses. And I had a lot of mistakes along the way. But as of today, as you mentioned, with the onset of Wealth Without Wall Street, my business partner and I have created over $50,000 a month. And now we're passionate about helping people follow the steps we took much faster, I'll say, than we did, so that they can have similar results.
All right, perfect. So I believe you've written a book, Wealth Without Wall Street, as well. You've got a show, Wealth Without Wall Street. That's the name of your website and the company. So tell us a little bit about this process. Obviously, we can't unwrap the whole thing in a short interview, but maybe give us the big broad strokes of how you help people go from zero to financial hero in a shorter period of time.
Well, first of all, you uncovered one of our downsides. We're a bunch of rednecks from Alabama, and we don't know how to creatively call anything, so we just name everything Wealth Without Wall Street. But the point is...
I'm a redneck from British Columbia, Canada, man. We're on the same page there. We just slightly different accent, that's all.
Yours is much better. But the reality is when we discovered that there's a process that people could follow. It starts with taking control of their finances, because Wall Street and other financial institutions have taught us that we're really not that smart when it comes to money, and we need to give our money, abdicate the responsibility of it to them, and somehow, accumulate all this pile of cash that 40 years later is magically going to produce some income stream that will kind of, ride off into the sunset and live the life that we always dreamed. And unfortunately, it's a lie. And we can take control of our finances today, create the freedom through creating passive income today that exceeds our monthly expenses. But a lot of times people just don't have a system to do it. In fact, they're unknowingly putting money into money traps instead of things that support financial freedom. I'm happy to dive into that.
Just for a second, Joey,
Sure.
I think most of the people tuning into the show already kind of grab the concept of passive income. They're either real estate investors or they want to be real estate investors. So that's the primary vehicle they're looking at for doing that. But maybe we can have the conversation kind of focusing more on that end user kind of thing.
Well, I'll tell you this. The funny thing is that you mentioned there's a lot of people that we help that are in the same boat. They've already figured out the vehicle to financial freedom, like i.e. it could be long-term rentals, it could be short-term rentals, it could be land flipping, any sort of, what real estate flavor do you want to create the freedom? But unfortunately, what we do is when we peel back the onion, a lot of people are still unknowingly or knowingly putting money in places that don't even support that end result. They've got money in places like 401ks or IRAs, or they're paying down debt unnecessarily when they could be accelerating their path. And we kind of, as we coach people through our first step in the process, is our passive income operating system, we've helped them find hidden capital. We help them find places that they otherwise would have just kept doing and just thought, well, this is what we're supposed to do, right? And unfortunately, when they get that, or I should say, fortunately, when they figure that out, man, they're able to run really fast in the right direction. So happy to dive into that, but
For
that's
sure. Yeah.
that's
Let's take a look at that.
well, so think about this for just a second. A lot of times people have put money into retirement vehicles at some stage of their life. Maybe it's
Mhm.
before they got into real estate investing, but now they've got that money and they just think there's no other option. Like, well, I'll
Or
just
it might
see.
be a company based kind of retirement plan or something
Right,
like that.
right. And
Yeah.
they think, well, I get a match or, whatever the case may be. But here's the real framework. Is it creating a passive income today or is it reducing a monthly expense? And when you put that over, you lay that over a 401k, an IRA, or some other vehicle, even a 529 plan for your kids' college expense, none of those things actually produce a passive income today or reduce a monthly expense. And so I would ask the question, man, how many either hundreds of thousands of dollars are locked up in that financial prison, keeping you from accelerating what you already probably know is how to turn that money into passive income through real estate investing, right? So, how do we think differently and how do we reposition those assets in order to get there faster? That's kind of what our coaching, that first leg of the coaching program, really helps people to do. And we happen to do that through the thing that Russ and I started in 2009 personally. And that was through a concept we read in the book, Become Your Own Banker by Nelson Nash. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yes, I am. Yep.
So that was the game changer for us because we started to see that our capital could be accessible, it could be constantly growing and leverageable at any time, which every real estate investor understands leverage. It's kind of one of those key components of the wealthy, right?
Hmm.
But we do this, we put more money into infinite banking. That's the concept behind the book. And that accelerated our position to be able to go from $2,500 a month in passive income to over $50,000 a month, as you said, in really less than 2 years. So
So
happy
what
to
was,
dive into
just out of
that.
curiosity, what was generating the 2,500 a month prior, and how is infinite banking cranking out 50 grand now?
Good question. To begin with, you'll not believe this, but we were originally bought some computers that were mining Ethereum, a
Okay.
cryptocurrency Ethereum.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
at the time, man, that was like jackpot. Now there was a time where it was actually losing money. We bought these computers and the price of Ethereum dropped considerably, and we were just mining it and losing money every month. That was
Hmm.
that was a bad day, by the way,
That
Dave.
was no fun.
We were
Yeah.
like, this is no good. And then all of a sudden, Ethereum went through the roof, and we were still mining at this really low cost to create. And so that was producing some cash flow. The second thing we did, and also I had a long term rental, and he had a long term rental, and they were very insignificant, a couple $100 a month between the two of us, pretty much.
Right.
But after that, we got into land flipping, where we were buying raw land and flipping it to owner held notes.
Hmm.
And that has actually been one of our biggest success stories. So from 2020, we first started that to today. Now that one vehicle is producing 33 or almost 34,000 gross, which net to us, because we're not the operator, we have a 70% stake in that business, is yet it's yielding to us about 24,000 a month net. And that's one of my favorite things. We can talk more about it, but that along with about 15 other streams is what has produced the 50,000.
Nice. And you're financing all of this via the infinite banking model. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's right. That's right.
Okay,
Because
cool.
if you think about it, I'm happy to dive into it. We actually have invested personally about 505,000 of our own capital to begin with. But when you think about it, if we had put that much cash in, then the returns would still be good. There'd be about 40% as we've done the math over the years, which is good. Anybody's book, 40% return. But because we had it done through the infinite banking concept, we weren't using our capital. We were borrowing against the cash values in our life insurance premiums. We actually have over 40 policies between us. That cash value still is growing, but we are borrowing the insurance company's money at an interest cost. That interest cost is about 100,000. So now you do the math. Instead of 505 of our capital, we only have 100,000 of our capital in the way of interest expense. That has equated to almost 240% return when you do the math on the back end. Does that make sense? I don't want to lose you because of the
It
numbers.
does to me because I'm quasi familiar with infinite banking. It might be kind of googly gook for somebody who isn't. So maybe, and we don't have time to go into in depth. If you had the infinite banking for dummies explanation, maybe big picture explain how that kind of works.
Well, we dive into this in a webinar that people can access, and I'm happy for people to dig into it. Here's the thing. I want to get as nerdy as you want, but I also want to keep it really big picture. At the
Let's
end of
keep
the
it big
day,
picture.
yeah, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
when you have a system that is constantly growing, even as you leverage it to create whatever the investment vehicle is on the other side. And again, we're agnostic to it. We've done the land flipping. We've done the short-term rental business. I have cars on Turo that someone else operates that creates passive income. I have online websites that are content driven that create passive income every month. I don't care what you're investing in, but it should line up with your personality, which we call the investor DNA, and it should fit your buy box. As soon as you do those things, now you start to see those results and you're confident and you can run fast in it. Here's what I know about real estate investors, Dave. Most of them have gotten into one vehicle of real estate investing because they heard someone else was successful in it. And they either are having equal success because it was a good fit for them, or they may have mediocre to weak success because it's really not a great fit for them, but they don't know anything else. And they just say, well, this is what everybody says you're supposed to do. And they probably would be better served to go into a different, vertical that would line up with their personality type. Have you ever heard us talk about that before or had other people talk about that?
Well, no, but it makes a ton of sense. Like lining up with what you fit in best with is going to set you up for success a lot better. That's for sure. If you're going against the current all the time, at least that's been my experience, it's very, very difficult because you hate what you're doing. So you got to find something that you enjoy doing, or else you're probably not going to be all that good at it.
Yeah, I mean, think about just as a simple, explanation. There are people that really thrive with a long-term rental scenario because they're like a high conscientious, high detail oriented. Like they want to be able to do the due diligence. They want to be able to break down the deal, and they're really good with $300 or $400 a month cash flow on each property. But you get somebody that's really highly influential in personality type, and they are bored to tears with the same real estate deal, right? But
Yeah.
you put them with a short term rental, and now all of a sudden they thrive because they're like, man, it's a higher payment. There's more risk involved. They get to kind of like share it with other people. They're putting
More
it
of a
out
social
on social
aspect to it.
media. Like, yeah, and they would be much better suited for that. And so, again, that's a simple example, but we
It's a great
break that
example.
down in our passive income lab where we, help people to figure out what really is a good fit for me.
Well, maybe let's look at this from a different angle, Joey. Maybe walk me through an example of one of your students or one of your clients, whatever you would call them, kind of where they were and what they've accomplished and kind of what vehicle took them there. And if it has something to do with real estate, that'd be awesome.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you this. If you're like any of the people that have gone through our passive income lab, most of them have done something like a long-term rental because they just think, well, this is all I know. I've got some exposure to it. I've lived in a house. I've seen other people do
I know
this,
what
right?
houses are. Yeah.
Right. It's familiar, but they come to our lab with very limited exposure. Then they come in and they start realizing there's a whole world of other alternatives out there. There's other passive income possibilities. And to be honest, some people are better served in even like a debt fund, something that's very boring,
Hmm.
but it's consistent. It's paying out every month. There's no unknown variables, like, for instance, well, somebody's air conditioning went out, and now I have this expense that I wasn't really expecting in the first year, or whatever it may be.
Right.
And so that person now gets the $500 to $800 a month coming in, and they're like, wait a minute, this is easy. I can do this. I can scale this. It takes more capital, right? But I can do this, and I feel much more confident in it than if I was just buying, putting a down payment on a long-term rental. So we've had people that have done things like debt funds. We've had people that come in and they literally, I had one client, they came in, they had no idea what Turo was, right? And I don't pretend to be an expert. I have operators that do this for me. But this one guy in particular in Atlanta, Georgia, he has now scaled up to 13 cars on Turo.
Nice.
And he's doing the math and he's like, one, I really like this because someone else is operating it. And number two, I have all these cool cars that I now own and I can use when they're not being rented. But it's also very consistently producing cash flow that I can rely on. And
Mhm.
he much prefers that over the real estate things he had done previously. So that, and then you get into, there's some private lending opportunities people have done that they never would have even considered before, but it fits them much, much better. So again, I don't want to be like too ambiguous, but there's so many different possibilities that people get their eyes open and they're like,
So
oh,
it sounds to me, Joey, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds to
sure.
me like you've kind of married this, what a lot of people might consider kind of a complicated concept of infinite banking, with actual practical applications of that, opportunities that people can get involved in based on their personality types, based on their desires, based on their risk tolerance level. And it's really it's sounding like a very kind of innovative way to finance this passive income using this methodology. Am I following along on the right track?
You're 100% right. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of people that will teach about the infinite banking concept.
There are, yeah.
And it's all about insurance. It's all
Yeah.
about, man, you get this insurance policy and you set it up this way and it grows tax free and all those things are true. But here's the reality. The insurance policy, the infinite banking concept is not the end. It's the means to
Mm-hmm.
becoming a banker. Well, what does a banker do? A banker takes capital and through arbitrage essentially creates a profit by investing it. If you're somebody that has set up the infinite banking concept, you've done the first step. You now have a very optimized vehicle to invest from. But if you don't know how to invest, if you don't feel confident that what you're investing in is going to support your ultimate objective, right? Because some people are chasing ROI, but they don't even know that it's not supporting. I want freedom today. I want
Mm-hmm.
my I want my passive income to exceed my monthly expenses, but they're investing in things that are long-term equity deals, right? They're like, oh, I don't get any cash flow because I'm hoping for a big
Mm-hmm.
exit in 5 years in this multifamily deal. Well, that's great, but what if you could have been investing in cash flowing assets today? What would that do for your life? Would
Mm-hmm.
that allow you to slow down in your active business? Would that allow you to have more time with your family this summer where, some of us are getting older, our kids are getting older, and we like to give this idea, you only get 18 summers with your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how many summers do you have left? And wouldn't you want to have more time with them today? Because I can assure you, I have a 19-year-old. She doesn't want to spend time with me like my 10-year-old does.
Yeah.
It's a completely different stage of life. And I don't want to regret the 10-year-old years because I was investing in things that were going to come 5, 10, 15 years from now. Does that make sense?
Well said, Joey. I'm sure this has piqued curiosity with some folks. If they want to find out more and connect with you, what should they do? Where should they go?
We'll keep it super simple. I'd love to connect with people from podcasts. Go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/property profits. Go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/property profits. And man, we've got free resources there. We've got my contact info. And I'd love for you to say, hey, I heard you and Dave talking on the podcast and wanted to connect.
Awesome. Joey, thanks so much for being on the show. Congratulations on what you and your partner have accomplished and what you're doing. I think you're onto a good thing.
Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you on the next one. Hey there, if you're a capital raiser, a syndicator, or a fund manager, and you're looking for a steady flow of incoming accredited investor leads, then go ahead, grab a free copy of my new book, How to Get 20 Accredited Investor Meetings Every Month Without Cold Calling, Networking, or Chasing People. You can get that at 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. Again, that's the number 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewsyou.com.